Okay, welcome back to OK Tech. This is part 8 in an introductory series on Microsoft's Excel spreadsheet program, which is Microsoft's program for calculating on things like financial data, accounting data, scientific analysis, statistical work, business tables, and charts. And this talk will be about some of that charting function, or graphs, charts, pictorial representations of data. I'm probably going to do 3 in a row on charts because there's quite a lot to talk about, and it's not just the kind of pulling up the chart, it's more about the presentation of those charts and all of the different sub functions and sort of sub options within menus that you can use to actually edit your figures and make them look fairly decent. So from the previous video, number 7 in the series, I'd got as far as drawing up this table of like very simple business data, and this will be sufficient to show quite a wide range of topics and different figure styles that you can generate. So the first thing is the selection of the data that you intend to draw, and you see straight away there's different kinds of data that you could input. You could have 2 sets of numbers or 3 sets of numbers, or you could have the names of the months and as against the numbers, and you might want to plot all these figures, or you might want to plot both the earned and the spent on the same figure as January, February, March, April, May, and so on. So you might want to select 3 columns, or you might want the months here and these profit margins. But how are you going to select different areas? Well, I've shown you how to drag across. You just click with the left mouse and then drag across for a region. If you want to select 2 different areas which are not joined to each other, then the way you do that is you press the control key. So you select the first area and then you press the control key, and then you can select whichever areas you want. So if you were going to plot the months and the amount you'd spent and the profit margin all on one figure, then you'd have to press the control, you select the first lot, you press the control key down, hold it down, and then select those other columns. Okay, we'll start as simple as possible. I'm just going to select the months and the amount you've earned. And the chart insert is on the Insert tab. So you've got various things: table, picture, shapes. Won't get distracted by those. That's just to insert pictures and shapes into your spreadsheet if you for some reason wanted them. And then these are obviously the chart options from column to win-loss. And the first chart option is all these different kinds of column charts, and then you've got different kinds of line charts. They're very common in business. Pie charts, bar charts, which is exactly the same as column charts but they're on their side. Area chart, which is basically a line chart but filled in underneath it. Scatter charts, which are not for things like months. The scatter chart would be for if you had earned as against spent. So that's for pairs of numbers. So we're not going to use a scatter chart to plot the months, because that's for when you have pairs of numbers and you plot the numbers against each other. But for a column chart, you can have months, and the months will go along the horizontal, and the amounts that you've earned will go along the vertical. So if you click on any of these examples, and the diagram of the example, the icon, it gives you an indication how that column chart will look. And you'll notice that there's light blue and dark blue. That we'll see in a moment is for when you have, or probably in the next video actually, is for when you have more than one data column. So if you had earned and spent in the same column, then earned might be light blue and spent might be dark blue. And that's what the 2 colors in all these column charts means. There's no actual mathematical difference between most of these rows. They're just different presentations. So whether or not you draw it as 3D bars or cylinders or cones or pyramids, doesn't really make any difference. That's just a presentational preference. Okay, so let's click on the simplest representation, and it's just pulled up the chart. A few things to notice: you've got your month names down the bottom, you've got your earned quantities on the side. These lines are called grid lines, and if you click on one of them it will select all of them. And then, as usual in Excel, if you click on something with the left mouse key it selects it. If you click with the right mouse key it gives you this little menu and tells you what you can do. So you can format those grid lines, for example. So just pull up an example of that. Line style, line color, shadow, etc. And if you wanted to increase the width of the grid lines, or you wanted to change it from lines to dashes, you could do that. Same thing, if you want to left click on the axis and then right click, you'll get the options to format that axis. And here are all the axis options. So the numbers, for example, you can change the number of decimal places to be 2 decimal places or 0 decimal places like it originally was. Or if we go back to the format, left click, right click, you could have a fixed value. Instead of 2,500, you could go up to 3,000. Or you could format the axis again, and instead of having major units of 500, you could have major units of 600. And if you wanted it to stop at 2,400, stop at 2,400. And then there are various others. The tick marks are the actual marks right next to the axis. So if you put it inside, they'll go inside. If you put it as a cross, there's a little cross. If you could see it, there would be a little cross there. The labels next to the axis. High, low, it's a little bit strange. That is actually referring to the horizontal axis, but they use the same term for the vertical. So low is that side, high is that side. So if it was the horizontal axis we were editing, that would be low and that would be high. Okay, and then the horizontal axis crosses, doesn't have to cross at 0, it could cross at 1,200, like that. And then you'll notice that some of the bars actually go negative because their values were under 1,200. So we'll just undo that, Control Z. Something is obviously missing, which is the axis titles. To find the axis titles, you click on, you'll notice actually there's no chart menu here, but when you click on the chart, this chart tools appears and it has design, layout or format. Design, you can see, is already selected as blue. If you click around, you can change those designs, and there are even more designs down here, down to that one. There's also the layout. There's a lot of different stuff on the layout menu. There's the chart title. So you can put a title above the chart, like that, which the title would be sales, something like that. There's also the axis titles, primary horizontal axis, title below axis, and the title there can be month. And then there's the axis title vertical axis, rotated title, the title could be sales. What's this series over here? Well, that's technically called a legend. If you only have one column of data, you probably won't need the legend, so you can delete it. But what it refers to is if you click anywhere on some of the data and you right click, you will get this option, select data. And select data, you'll see again that series 1, which was the name of your data. And if you edit it, you can change the series name to be something else, for example, sales. And then the second part, the series values, shows you the data that you selected. You could change it to be what you spent, and then it would be spent or costs. And that's it.